Hello everyone. In this tutorial we're going to go over systems, placing duct and air terminals and mechanical equipment for HVAC systems with return and supply conduit. And what you want to do is you want to use the MEP template. You don't want to use the architectural template. You want to use the MEP template. And right now where I am is I'm in if you can go over to the left and you see project browser, I'm at number 4, mechanical RCP reflected ceiling plan. Okay, and what you see in front of you right now is just the a office space, commercial space. It's offices, innovation green center, cryptocurrency mining sort of entrepreneurial incubator. Okay, now we're going to focus on at least like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas where we're going to place terminals, diffusers, supply, and return diffusers. Okay, so let's jump right in. So you want to go up to the top and click Air Terminal. That will be under Systems. Click Air Terminal, Properties, and you want to make sure what we want to do is we want to start with, let's see, Supply Terminal, and make sure you have these loaded. Okay, and our drop ceiling is 13 feet, so we're going to go over into elevation from level 13 feet. Enter. Okay, and now we have the supply air terminals. We're going to put 2 in this room, 2 in the next room. Okay, and then also we're going to put 1 here. And again, this is to show you the actual procedure. And we're going to put 1 here. Okay, now let's select return, and we'll do the same thing. We'll make sure that this is at 13 feet because the drop ceiling is 13 feet. So we go 1, 2, and for this particular layout, I'm just going to make sure that they're aligned. Okay, here we go. Make sure there's an alignment. Doesn't necessarily have to be for this particular exercise, and make sure it's all aligned. Okay, so now let's zoom in, and what you can see is that this terminal here, you can see the arrows pointing outward. That means that it is supply. The air will be going outside, shifting or blowing out of that terminal. In this particular terminal, when you see this diagonal line, this is return. Air is going inside of it, as you can see indicated by the arrows surrounding it. Alright, so we have the terminals there. And in this particular design, we're not going to have a VAV unit in each particular room. We'll do that next time. A VAV is a terminal that you can place in the ceiling that will allow for each room to have a varying temperature. So say for example, this room could be set at one temperature and this one could be different. We're not going to do this time around. We'll do that next time. So okay, we have our air terminals in each room, and what we want to do is go over to Systems and then click Mechanical Equipment. And then from mechanical equipment, we want to place an air handling unit, split system, vertical. And the placement of this is temporary. We can size this to be in an appropriate size or appropriate mechanical equipment, but right now this is a placeholder. And our elevation from level, we want to make sure that that's around 12 feet. And we're going to place it in this, roughly in this mechanical space. Okay, and so let's zoom in. Okay, good. So now on this side of the terminal, you can see this is out and this is in. So this is supply and this is return. And I want my return conduit to come out of here and then feed and go down this corridor and then start to feed these supply terminals. And I'm going to want my return terminal because many times the return conduit or the return ductwork is actually larger than a supply. So I want the larger ductwork to come out of this. And as you can see right now in this particular design, I'll let you know, this here is a staircase. This is a reflected ceiling plan, but this is a staircase, a stairwell, vertical circulation, and this here is an elevator well. So I don't want my conduit penetrating this particular staircase. Now these walls here, you can see the thickness of it. These are actually shear walls. And in this particular design, I'm going to have my ductwork penetrating the shear wall. In another design, I will put the mechanical room somewhere else where the actual shear wall isn't being penetrated. But for this particular approach, let's just go straight forward. Okay, so now we have this machinery. What we want to do is we want to create a supply system. So make sure you go and you click all of the supply terminals by pressing the control button down and selecting them, each one. Okay, alright, now we have these selected. Go over to this piece of equipment and you have that selected. Now once you have all of the supply terminals selected as well as this equipment here, you want to go over to the top, modify, multi-select, and create system. Click this system type, supply air, yes. System name, let's keep it at default, mechanical supply air 1. Click OK. Now as you can see, all of it is grouped up. It is now a system, duct system supply air. Now once you're at this stage, what I'd like you to do is go over again to modify duct system and select generate layout. Now in this automatic system, it's giving you automatic distribution sort of layouts on how to supply ductwork to those supply terminals. In this particular configuration, I don't like it because number one, if you can see here, it's penetrating the stairwell, and over here it's penetrating this ovular conference room at the top. I don't like this one. So let's select, see over here it says 1 through 4. It's at network 1 through 4. Let's see the next one. Okay, this looks pretty good. It's avoiding the stairwell and it's avoiding this sort of iconic signature interior space here. This looks pretty good. I want to stay here. We're going to just adjust it a little bit, but this looks good. Okay, so but what I want to do is I want to make sure is I want to go into settings. Okay, so it's offset. This is 15. This is 15. Now let's see, 15, 15. I want to drop this down to 14, and then the branch down to 14 because my drop ceiling is 13 feet. So as a matter of fact, let me put this back at 15. I'll put this back at 15 to make sure we have space, so it's not touching the bottom of the drop ceiling. Okay, I'll keep that at 15. Rectangular ductwork, go to the branch, 15. Okay, maximum flex duct length 6 feet, looks fine. Flex duct type, okay, we're gonna have the flexible duct type, round. Okay, that looks good. Now what I want to do here is I want to do a couple of things because I don't want the ductwork to be directly over the diffusers right now because I'd like for you to see exactly what's going on. So we're going to go up to the top, go over to the left, and click Edit Layout. And now what I want to do is start selecting these lines. Now the way this supply is coming from this particular machinery, the air handling unit, the way it's coming from here, I like that, and it's going through the corridor. That looks pretty good. But what I want to do over here is I want to shift these over to the left. So I'll start here, and you can see where you have this move icon. I want to move it over to the left a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with this one, and I want to line it up. Okay, and we're going to go over here, and we're going to do the same thing. I just want to move it over to the left. There we go. And do the same thing here. There we go. Okay. And maybe I can move this over a little bit more. Just put it in the middle. Okay. And what Revit is going to do is it's going to automatically size the ductwork. And again, you can adjust it further, but this is a temporary sort of automatic sizing of the duct. Okay, so now we have this configuration and it looks good. So now we'll select Finish Layout. Okay. Now it says this element has an open connection, and that's fine. We can correct this very easily. Okay. So as you can see, all of the diffusers that are supply diffusers are being fed by blue. Blue means supply. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to clean this up because this is disconnected. And once you clean this up, these particular pieces of conduit should turn blue as well. Okay. So now I'm going to click on this one, move it over. I want to delete this here. And then I want this to tie directly into this larger conduit. There you go. And then now I'm going to bring this down, and it's going to tie right into there. Beautiful. So you see, very simple. And here should be fairly straightforward. We can look at an elevation to see what's going on, but as of right now, let's see. Okay. Pretty straightforward, yes? Okay, let's go to a 3D view to see exactly what's going on. Okay, it's looking great. Fantastic. Okay, so now we can see that you're going to click on this here and see that this is the flex duct round. Okay, okay. And if we can look over here, we can see this particular situation is not looking so elegant. So let's go back to our reflected ceiling plan and move this over. Move this one here. Go to the endpoint of this conduit and move it. Okay. Now let's see what's going on. What we could actually do, we're going to move this over here. Okay, there you go. Now let's go and make sure. Excellent. And it's pretty much that simple. Now we have supply. Now you're going to see the size difference because now you're looking at the supply and this was automatically sized by Revit. Now what we want to do is we want to lay out the ductwork for the return air straight from this piece of machinery, and it's called again the air handling unit split system vertical 10. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to select the return terminals here, 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 here. There you go. Okay, we have all of those selected, and then you want to select this piece of machinery here. Now it has multiple categories selected, and again you want to click the duct, and right now this is the return air, mechanical return air 1 system name. That's fine. Click OK. Alright, then go up to the top and click generate layout. We want to generate a layout automatically. We could do it manually, but let's try to do this quickly. Generate layout. Okay. Now this particular layout looks pretty good. The only problem is we have this again, this vertical circulation stairwell. It's being interrupted. It's being penetrated. So let's figure out if it can give us another option. So we can go over here and we see that it's 1 of 4. Let's go try to select another one. This looks okay, but it's outside here. It's penetrating this conference area. We don't like that. Okay. Now this one looks pretty interesting. 3 of 4. Okay. Now let's see this. Let's keep shifting through. Let's see. Okay. Okay, contemplating, and it looks like we could probably do something with this particular configuration. Let's see. Let's edit well, first we want to make sure that this is actually higher. Offset is 18 and the other one was 15. This should be pretty good. Let's keep this at 18. Okay. But you want to, when you're laying this out, you want to make sure that your offset, right, your offset from the actual floor is higher. You could decide if you want your return above, if you want your return conduit above your supply conduit, or your supply conduit above your return conduit, but you want to make sure both of those systems are at two different elevations. Right now I have my return at 18 feet and my supply was lower, like around 14 feet or 15 feet. Okay, so what I want to do, that's fine, I want to go over into edit layout because I want to adjust this manually. I like the fact that the vertical circular space is not being penetrated. It's going out this wall. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I want to select this and move it over because I want it to be here. Let's see what happens. This looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. Okay. I have all of these. Okay, this is a little different. What I want to do is just move this down like this. We could have kept it, but for now I just want you to be able to see once we go to the 3D view how everything is being fed. And these look so intricate. It looks like a bowl of spaghetti, and it's quite dynamic looking. Seems like technologically more could happen with these systems, especially dealing with digital twin. Okay, so now this configuration, let's see how this looks. Clicking OK, and again there's some situation going on here, and that's totally fine. Okay, now let's go to the 3D view to see what's going on. And we can, okay, let me expand this further. The view cube, okay, look what we have here. Okay, now the sizing of this unit looks a little bit weird because these are very thin conduits, which will have to be, we will have to take a look at that to see what's going on. Okay, so what I can see now is the way this is dying here. Okay, let's go into this view and we can easily adjust this. I want to bring this back some, and I want to reconnect this down here. Okay, and then now connect this, bring this over here. Okay, beautiful. Now go back to the 3D view. You see how this ties in nicely. Okay, and now let's clean this up here. This situation here. Okay, let me hide the drop ceiling. I want to select my drop ceiling and hide it. Or as a matter of fact, let's go down to the visibility and okay, we'll do it here by right clicking on it and select hide. Okay, there's something really strange going on right here. So let's see. What we can do is let's delete this. I'm going to delete this, and what I want to do, go back. Okay, I'm going to cut a section so I can pretty much just achieve this, because this is at a lower elevation than this, and I'll tell you how we can quickly solve this issue and solve this problem. Go to view, select section. I want to cut a section here. Okay, Now my section is looking the wrong way. I want to flip it. Okay. Now here. Okay. So we have our section. We're going to go over to the detail level course and put fine. Okay. And what I want to do also is I want to put shaded to see what's going on. Okay. So right now this conduit is coming out of our air handling unit here, and what I want to do is I want to change the elevation here. Let's see if that's too abrupt for it. It may be. Okay, it's not, which is excellent. So right now I have this situation, and so I want to click similar, and I'll create more duct here. Okay, so now here's what I'll do. It's giving me an error, so I'll move this back some, because here I can adjust out here. What I want to make sure is I can get this duct out of this mechanical room at the elevation here, and then we can make adjustments here as needed. So again, go to section. Okay, now select similar. Okay, and now, and as a matter of fact, I'm just going to extend this over to make, there we go. Okay, now go back to the mechanical reflected ceiling plan. Alright, so now what we can do is we can pretty much reconcile this here. Okay, no auto routing selection was found. We can easily solve this. Right, let's nudge this down. Okay, so now okay, there we go. So now let's go to the 3D view, and as you can see, now this may not, okay, let's adjust the section box to go higher so we can see the full thickness of what's going on. Okay, alright. Now one thing that I don't like about this particular situation is that this rectangular elbow radius, as you can see right here, I don't want it to terminate inside of a wall. So what I want to do, let's figure out a solution for this. Here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to take this. Okay. Let's undo that. We're going to do something a little dynamic. I want to undo what I just did. Okay. I want to pull this out, because everything doesn't necessarily have to be so rectilinear. So we're going to do a nice little S shape going on here, because I want to pull this elbow out of the wall, because I don't want it to die into the wall. I guess that's just the designer in me. And when I'm designing this, I'm not an MEP engineer, I'm a design scientist. I'm looking at a whole sort of holistic approach as it relates to structural engineering, architecture, MEP engineering, or just design, inclusive design. So I pulled that out. Okay. So now, just get out of your mind that everything has to be rectilinear. We can have different sort of shapes going on. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to create similar. Okay, select the midpoint, bring this out here. Okay. And we can move this over, and then we can do something like this. Check it out. From there to there. Isn't that beautiful? It's so elegant. Okay, there you go. It's not complicated at all, and in fact, it's quite fun. Now, again, the sizing of these units needs to be adjusted. Absolutely needs to be adjusted. But this is a temporary layout, so if you need to make adjustments, all you have to do pretty much is, like for example, you click tab, keep clicking tab, and then now you selected this whole system, and you want to inspect. We can sort of inspect the entire area by clicking, and you're seeing that the supply air, you see the little arrows, supply air, looks great. Okay, let's get out of inspection. Now again, this ductwork was done, it was automatically generated by Revit. You can specify in Revit how to size the ductwork depending on what type of airflow you want per space, etc. But right now I'm just showing you how to drop in mechanical equipment very quickly, lay out your diffusers, lay out your supply, and lay out your return in an office setting. It looks pretty interesting. And if some of you may remember, this particular incubator space was we did tutorials on this oval conference room that I just get a kick out of. But yeah, you can see, you know, as a designer, I just like seeing this spaghetti this spaghetti HVAC work. So the tutorial is done. So right now, you know, we're just playing around, you know, having some interesting fun commentary on the system. Because a person like me, when I look at this particular ductwork, I start to get ideas. Okay, right now, you know, we're in a COVID sort of pandemic. Your HVAC system is extremely important. How does your HVAC system handle the health of the entire facility? Well, for one, does your HVAC system have HEPA filters? Does it have cutting edge filters, right? Depending on if you're an office setting or if it's a laboratory, you have to have good filtration. So, you know, those kinds of technologies being placed in your HVAC system is pretty important. So myself, I would think, okay, HVAC, HEPA filter situation, as well as ultraviolet light to kill the viruses in the air. Because, you know, some of these particulates in the air, they're like 0.00 microns, and you want to be able to have a strong enough system in place to kill those viruses that are airborne. Because once you do that, you're actually helping the productivity of your workforce, or anybody who's actually living or working in the spaces that you're laying out or designing your HVAC system for. So anyway, that's just some food for thought. So I'm going to conclude this tutorial. I like to have a little bit of you know, interesting discourse, so you can leave comments pertaining to your thoughts. And also, if you're an MEP engineer, you can give me some suggestions and I'll incorporate it into the next tutorial. Okay, so you can see my spaghettification my spaghettification going on here, my spaghetti ductwork, and quite frankly, look how small this unit is. These are just placeholders. This is placeholders. But I want to tell you one thing I'm proud of. I'm proud of this S shape. And for everyone that has followed this video till the end, I'm going to give you something special. I always have a surprise. Okay. So now we want to place notation on the diffusers and the duct sizes, the ductwork. So let's go to Annotation, tag by category, plus escape. We're going to click tag all, and tag all we want to select, okay, let's expand this. We want to select air terminal tags, that's good, conduit size, duct size, flex pipe, flex duct, okay, and here we go. That's pretty good. Okay. Click OK. Excellent. So now what you're seeing now is we have these sizes. I'll tell you now, from this design I can already see that this needs to be readjusted. The thickness of, or the size of this conduit feeding this return, this is way too small. This is not big enough. But again, this is temporary, so this is a placeholder. And that's how you place your notation very quickly on ductwork. This concludes this tutorial on placing diffusers, both supply and return, placing ductwork, as well as placing your system, air handling unit systems. And then I showed you a little bit on how to sort of run the ductwork around important places. This is our mechanical room. We don't want our ductwork penetrating a stairwell. We also don't want our ductwork penetrating elevator wells, etc. See you on the next tutorial.